Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. Today is the 11th of October. It's 2018, and you are looking at Hurricane Mike. Now, this is going to directly affect me and everybody I know and everything everyone's going to be doing for the next week right here. And some people that I know are actually making the really bad choice, in my opinion, of flying from Boston down to Miami for a conference that I'll leave unnamed, but it's for the good of the children, put it that way. And I completely and totally disagree with it. And it turns out that this isn't just your average, everyday, geoengineered storm to F shit up. In Truth by Grace, Alyssa has pulled up what appears to be a directed energy weapon hit. And apparently they're trying to scrub the information off the internet. So I am going to run this because this girl is tenacious. Absolutely tenacious. A couple of other YouTube channels and a couple of radio podcasts have hit me up today. We're all talking about the same thing. So if that isn't divine confirmation, I do not know what is. So here it is. If you're not already subscribed to her channel, I will leave links in the description. You should most definitely hit her up. I'm out.
Hey guys, it's Wednesday, 4:23 p.m. on October 10th, 2018. And as you can see by the pileup of icons here from my QuickTime player, I have tried to record this video several times and my computer keeps crashing. I get about 60% of the way through the video, which hopefully won't be that long, and the recorder just says aborted. It stopped. Please try recording again. So what I've decided to do is go through this old school because I think the information that I have to share with you here is probably the most important information that I've gathered in the entire course of the investigation, short of any of the buoy datas that I've been able to show you where we don't have any hurricane wind speeds at any of the places where a hurricane allegedly hit. This time, folks, we actually do have a hurricane, and it's the way the hurricane hit that is of such great value. So I'm going to give you an overview here. What I'm going to demonstrate to you guys is that we did have a hurricane. We had a hurricane come in, and I actually captured it live as it was happening, and that was the first series of failures that my computer started to experience. And what I was showing you in that video was I was saying, let's do a walk down the beach. So I literally took you guys down here, and I show you that at Mexico Beach we had 80-mile-an-hour winds. But they stopped right here at Overstreet. And they dropped down to like 45-mile-an-hour winds. So literally within like a 2-mile radius, we had no winds here in Overstreet. Then I took you from Mexico Beach. I took you up to the Tyndall Air Force Base. We had 86-mile-an-hour winds. Panama City, we had 86-mile-an-hour winds. Panama City Beach, which is literally like 20, what is it? Look, here's where it says here. It says it's 20.62 miles distance between Mexico Beach, you know, in a linear straight line, between Panama City Beach and Mexico Beach. It's only 20.62 miles. So for some reason, you guys, we had a hurricane that hit somewhere between Mexico Beach and Overstreet, because Overstreet didn't show any hurricane force winds. They didn't even show, they showed like 48, and I'll show you all this in a minute. Overstreet, the highest wind speed captured during this time while this hurricane hit was like 40-something, right? Youngstown, the same thing. Sunnyside, the same thing. Panama Beach, the same thing. There is only a 23-mile area, 23-mile distance that this hurricane hit with 86-mile-an-hour winds, and we did not find anything on the shore here. We did not, and I'll show you that right now. I'm going to take you to the buoys, and I want to show you that all these buoys, the closest thing we have here, you guys, is a 61 knot, which is close. But it's still shy of hurricane force winds. And then I'm going to just scroll down all this buoy data, and you're going to see we've got 40s, we've got 15, 27, and I'm just going to keep scrolling. You guys can slow this down in slow motion if you want, but this is just literally to capture the data while I have it available, while we have it available to us. There is no hurricane caught in any of these buoys. And the buoys, you guys, I'm gonna reiterate, the buoys are what we measure these hurricanes by. It is by these buoys, and then once the storm comes on land, it is at the airports that we actually capture this data. So there's the whole pile of data from all the buoys. And as you can see, there are hundreds of buoys. And the closest, highest wind speed we got was from one buoy reading 61 knots, which is still shy of a hurricane. And I'm sorry, that's just the way it is, guys. You may not like to hear this, but this is just the way it is. We do not have one single buoy picking up a hurricane in the water. So basically what I'm telling you guys is that, I'm going to take you back to Google Earth here. We have a strike zone from Panama City, which is here, to the Tyndall Air Force Base that impacted a little bit. It got up to 74.5 miles an hour here at Mexico Beach. But just this area, it did not hit Youngstown. It did not hit Overstreet. It is more like a freight train went through here. Now, this may not seem like a big deal because we're looking at a map in an area that we're not that familiar with. But let me show you, relative to the size, what this should look like. Okay, what I did here was I actually drew a 2-scale map with what it's actually NASA, NOAA, same thing. What NASA's or NOAA's advisories have been telling us. They tell us, let's see, hurricane force winds right here. This is the paragraph I'm looking for. If hurricane force winds stretch out 45 miles from the center of the hurricane, and we know that the hurricane started at 86 miles an hour, then hit 86 miles an hour, I drew this to scale relative to this map down here to show you 45 miles to, because the eye of the hurricane hit right here, 86 miles right here. And I'll just put this down a little bit lower so you can see. 86 miles. We got 86 miles an hour in Panama City. We got 86 miles an hour in Tyndall Air Force Base. And we have 86 miles an hour down there at Mexico Beach. But that's it. But if you use how far out the hurricane force winds should have extended, this is how far out the hurricane force winds should have extended. They should have extended a good 35 miles further. It should have engulfed Sunnyside. It should have wiped out Youngstown. It should have taken out Overstreet, Florida. But it didn't. Now imagine this. This is the hurricane. Now, this would be just for the part where you have hurricane strength winds from 74 to 86 and then 86 to 74. But then, you guys, it says here that it should have, wind speeds should have extended, tropical force winds, which would be 49 to 73 miles an hour, should have gone up to 185 miles from the center. So I can't even draw that on this map. I mean, I can't even do that because my paper is only 12 inches long. It would have taken us another 80 miles over to the east and another 100 miles to the west. So let's imagine this is what that hurricane was supposed to look like. Okay, this is what it was supposed to look like. It should be spinning around and hit everything in this area. And it didn't. It didn't, you guys. Instead of this hurricane actually hitting like this, this is the radius of the entire hurricane. Because by the time we get to Overstreet here, you guys, the wind speeds are under hurricane strength. They're way below. They're not even hardly tropical storm force winds. This was more like a weapon hit this area. And it only had a trajectory that it moved in land by about 20 miles at the most. At the most. So what I have to do is I have to demonstrate this with you. So let's go to Panama City Beach first. You'll see this is Panama City Beach. All right. And we're looking at between 12 and 1 o'clock. And here's what we're going to see. We're going to see that the wind speeds were at 12:36, 46 miles an hour. I hope you guys can see these numbers. 46 miles an hour. And they rose steadily from 11 o'clock in the morning. And you can notice that as soon as the wind speed increases, so like here, the wind speed goes up from 32 miles an hour to 36 miles an hour. As soon as it went up those 4 miles an hour, it registered that. So that happened in a period of 7 minutes. 20 minutes later, the wind speeds went up to 36 miles an hour. So you can see as the wind speed increases, it goes from 30 miles an hour to a peak at 46 miles an hour at 12:36. Okay? Now, let's go to Panama City, which according to Google Earth here is literally Panama City Beach and Panama City is like, they're 3 miles apart. Okay, 3 miles apart. Let's see what was happening in Panama City at the exact same time. Panama City, Florida. Okay, now we're going to go to detailed observations over the last 48 hours. And here, remember, that scale ended at 1230 something. So this one takes us to 1224. But look at these wind speeds, you guys. This is the precision with which the World Trade Centers went down. I mean, we're talking highly isolated strategic hit. Look at these wind speeds, less than 3 miles away. We have wind speeds that started increasing. Okay, so everybody was on an even playing field at about 11:14. See, 37 miles an hour. The wind started increasing at 11:30 to 40 miles an hour. Then at 11:35, we have 45 miles an hour. At 11:40, they increased to 56. They dropped down to 53. They go up to 55. Suddenly, at 12:08 p.m., we have 82 mile an hour winds. This is when I started recording. I caught the 86 mile an hour winds at 12:12. But the 86 mile an hour winds, you guys, they only lasted about 8 minutes. And then they dropped to 77 miles an hour. Then 1 minute later, it dropped to 72 miles an hour. And by 12:24, everything was back to normal. 48 miles an hour. And that's it. And that is within a 3 mile distance of Panama City, which the highest wind speed was, I don't know, let's see if we can get back to Panama City Beach. Panama City Beach, the highest wind speed recorded there was 46 miles an hour by 12:30 p.m. 12:36. What I'm telling you guys is huge. This is huge information I'm sharing with you. Now, let me show you Tyndall Air Force Base here in Florida. Same thing. Almost, this is nearly identical to what we saw at Panama City. Again, we're going to see at around 11:45, the wind speeds start picking up, and they get up to, I have to look out for my camera. Okay, at about 11:45, they get up to 55 miles an hour. The next change in wind speed is up to 82 miles an hour. That's at 12:08, exactly like what we saw at Panama City Beach. Let's hope this is focused. Okay. And then the wind speeds go 86 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour,